Everybody, it's Linda and Sterling here
Good morning.
for
Hello.
our Sunday special, which you guys love. And what's the date today? It is the 10th of January.
It is. It's going quickly. In 10 days to the inauguration. Huh?
Yep, yep. Not that I'm looking forward to it. So, okay, listen, we got a bunch of questions. Is there anything you need to announce?
No, I think we're all good on the housekeeping side. Huh?
Okay. From the other side, does Joan Rivers have a message for us?
She does. And I asked this week, because there's a lot going on in the world this week. So I asked for anybody that, humorous to come through, kind of step forward. So she came running like crazy. So it was first time I've actually talked with her directly in this way. But one of the things she was saying was that, she always considered New York her home, kind of very valuable place. And that she was surprised. A lot of people knew who Trump was and surprised now the world is waking up to who he is, because being a resident in New York, everybody kind of knew it.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
she kind of went on to make a few jokes. She said, just as a give back, there's a big traffic problem, in New York. So her recommendation was they turn Trump Tower into a parking garage, to help with the traffic problem. The other thing she said that was interesting was her husband, committed suicide, which we
Right.
know. Was Edgar Rosenberg, I think was his name. But anyway, when they finally met, Edgar was the one that met Joan when she crossed over. There's always somebody that meets you initially. And one of the things she was telling me that she said, we're back again together, but like if you ever think about doing that again, leaving me, I'm going to shoot you first. So I thought that was pretty good. So she was wonderful energy, but she's trying to help out any way she can from the other side.
So she was doing The Apprentice. She did
Right,
a stint on The Apprentice. Yeah.
she did, yeah.
But everybody I read in New York, most people, when he first became president, they were like, anybody that's anybody knows that he, launders money for Russia. It's been doing it for years.
Yeah, I think she started out being okay with Trump, was what I kind of got from her. But then as time went on, she kind of, anybody as a real New Yorker, you understood what he was all about. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, Pence and the cabinet invoked the 25th Amendment and removed Trump from office before January 20th.
I do see the House moving forward pretty aggressively even this week on the 25th Amendment. Absolutely. I think there's going to be a vote on it. I don't think it doesn't get to the rest of Congress in enough time before Trump is out. But at least it does validate that the House kind of moves forward the 25th Amendment. So he's impeached.
Pence isn't the only one who can do that.
Well, the House is going to vote on it, and then it always then moves forward into the Senate after the House votes on it. But there won't be enough time to get the Senate vote. But I do see Pence kind of moving more towards enacting the 25th Amendment. At first, he came out and said, I'm against it. Now they're telling me is he's entertaining it. So,
well, can you imagine being down there with your family and finding out? And by the way, Trump has not talked to them, and
right.
finding out that they wanted to hang you.
Yeah.
And your beloved president, who you backed up, listen, he was that shook up. He really could not stand not being president.
Yeah, no, very true. I mean, this was a complete coup on the behalf of the United States. This is how the banana republics are run, right?
Right.
So, I mean, anybody that's still kind of backing up 45, you have to kind of question that. So
I know. Well, they also know that when we get in there, we're going to find a lot of stuff linking between Russia and a lot of those senators.
yeah, and in fact, a lot of information is already known. It just hasn't come out public yet.
Okay, but is he? I don't know if this question is here, but when you're talking about this, they said even the lights were out in the White House. Is he like just so depressed, or is he fuming?
No, for me, what I get is that he's got a couple of other tricks up his sleeve. So he's still formulating plans and things. He's going to go out with a bang like the 4th of July. So,
Damn.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. On or around Inauguration Day, will there be attacks on any other government buildings in other states?
I do feel it's certainly less than half a dozen, but it's a couple of state capitals that will be under under riots and a little bit of siege. So there's going to be more violence across the nation around January 20th. I think that
There
was
was sporadic capitals while this thing was
yeah,
going on,
right.
even in
There
San
will be,
Diego. But there wasn't that many people.
right. This has all been planned for months on end before we got to this point. So
Okay.
momentum is there. Yeah.
Were any Capitol Police in on the riot that purposely let rioters into the Capitol building?
Unfortunately, there were, and it goes into what I call two camps. One camp was like, don't put enough force out there, like kind of look the other way. That was kind of one camp. That's being complicit. The other camp was there are actually a few officers that said, here, kind of go this way. Almost kind of aided the protesters, like, I didn't tell you this, but go this way, go down that hallway, or come through this gate. So
Right.
two different camps. Yeah, they were complicit.
Yeah, and they were saying some of these officers, they had to have had a map and known where they were. Will Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz be accountable for January 6th?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do see in a very short time period movement to impeach them from their positions. They will.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the point of the insurrection? Was 45 involved in the planning?
It was really a coup. So 45 was involved in the planning, and in fact, it was meant to first off create fear among the nation. The second thing was it was actually to do real damage. So there were actually, as we know now, there were explosives, but there were actually some people that were supposed to be killed, unfortunately, that didn't get killed. So God bless that, it didn't happen.
Another officer died today, by the way.
Yeah, no, I saw that. So it's meant to create fear, instability in government, and even take out a few congressmen to try to upset the balance of power. It's terrible. It's a coup.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Did he think of it, or did he get that advice from Putin or somebody?
All the above. So it's ideas kind of they start off, the seeds are planted, so to speak, and
Right.
they germinate. Then you get more support.
Okay, were there any members of Congress involved in the attack? If so, will they be dealt with appropriately?
They will. There's a number of Congress people that have already been somewhat public about their stance going into it. Those will be there'll be litigation and problems they'll encounter. There's also a group of people in government that somehow weren't public and working behind the scenes. That's going to be more difficult to prosecute. So I think some of the congressmen involved will go unchecked, if you will, because they did it more behind the scenes. Hard to prove. The ones who are out in front of it all are going to will face litigation almost immediately. Yeah.
Okay. Who paid and trained the domestic terrorists that charged Capitol Hill?
The money came from a number of places. A lot of it was offshore money. They got channeled into a lot of cryptocurrency involved here. So a lot of the individuals that acted were paid, but through cryptocurrency that originated like offshore. So
Okay.
it's probably our Russian friends and
Will the UK ever get more progressive government, or will they just keep moving right?
This is a 4 to 8 year cycle for the UK. So it looks like the next 4 years are going to be a little difficult. Won't be that progressive. By the time you get 8 years out from where we are right now, it'll be much more progressive, and they'll see a lot of new leadership come in.
Okay.
So new leadership coming in about 8 years. Yeah.
On January 6th, Ginny Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, endorsed a protest that Congress overturned the election. Then she sent love to the demonstrators. Will this action affect her husband's position? And may I also tell you, which you might already know, she paid for 80 bus rides to that event.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw the news. What I get on that is that it's going to be a bit of a, let's call it a black eye at the very least against Thomas on the Supreme Court, but they won't try to pull him off. They should, but there's going to be so many other things going on in government when Biden gets in that they won't have enough bandwidth. They won't pull them off. So I wish I could tell you that they are, but I don't
I
see that.
always saw him leaving pretty soon, but I didn't feel like he's leaving because he wants to leave, like he may keel over too much stress.
You know, that I was going to bring that into the fold here, is that I do see health problems down the road for him. So that's different than, you know, the actions of his wife, so to speak. So
Right, right. How does one hear their guides? Do they speak as an inner voice or thought or through quiet symbolism? How can someone be sure they are hearing their guide and not just imagining something?
So people ask this question all the time. Depending on your level of skill, so if I draw a parallel to being a musician, as you first start off, you know, you have a certain level of talent. The more you practice, you get better and better. When people first start off, you're going to hear what may feel like an angel thought or a rush of thought. And then as it builds, you'll hear kind of a generic voice. And then as you even work more on the craft, you actually hear voices that are unique to the individuals you're bringing through or talking to. So there's a little bit of a progression there. And then that progression even moves in towards seeing cinematic movies and video and smells and taste and feeling. So there's an evolution there. Now, the second half of the question is, how do you know if it's your guides? I always tell people it's validation. So once you get information through, then if you can validate that in your normal life, that's the proof.
Right,
So a good
right.
example is if you're told to go over to this place and meet this person, Mark. And so, okay, you go over that place and Mark's there and he says, hey, I was just looking for you. There's a validation. So now you know that your guides are helping you. So yeah.
Right. How and when, if ever, will 45 supporters ever see that they've been horribly manipulated and lied to?
So that the hardcore Trump supporters won't ever admit or even see they've been lied to, because they're actually taking it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So if you're being lied to, you believe the liar, that's not going to change. However, the good news is I see almost half of the Republican GOP moving more towards more of a logical framework. You know, given all the things we've seen, now what makes better sense? So the hardcore Trump supporters, they won't change, but at least half of the Republican base, I think, is going to start moving more towards the center.
Okay. Did spies from foreign countries enter the Capitol during the rioting? And did any malware or spyware get uploaded onto the lawmakers' computers in the midst of all this chaos? Interesting question.
I don't see that any malware got into the network. I do see, and this, I think, validated in the news, a number of laptops were stolen. Many of them were retrieved. They were all password protected. So there wasn't a big breach there. I think that's kind of the nature of the question. Was not a big security breach there, no.
Okay.
Much bigger security breach with what happened with the company in Austin, Texas, you know, in Russia and China, right?
What?
That was the big breach that we heard about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yes, yes, I know what you're, sorry, I just went blank. Yeah.
Got it. Right.
Is there such a thing as bad luck or good luck, or is it all karma?
So kind of two separate topics there. Good luck and bad luck, they align more with free will. So for example, if you're on a life path, you may move from point A to point Z, if you will. You can kind of create good luck and things working well for you by some of the free will choices you take, by being in the flow. Likewise, bad luck can come if you're not listening to the universe or your guides. You may zigzag. So good luck, bad luck, they're more artifacts of kind of being in the flow, if you will.
Right.
Karma has more to do with like lessons that you're learning. So you may come in this life to learn certain lessons. So that question, kind of two separate topics in there, but good luck, bad luck, more aligned to free will.
Okay. What happened to the 3 male prisoners that escaped Alcatraz?
That's a good one. That was in the early 60s, I think that happened. Yeah, so they all made it. They all made it to San Francisco. They all ended up living secret lives. And what I see very clearly is that the 2 brothers lived very long lives. The 3rd prisoner had a much more short or truncated life. So I'm not sure whether almost he met with bad, maybe he got in some sort of a situation here that caused an early death, but the two brothers live longer lives.
I think they had some like unsolved mysteries that they thought perhaps these were them living someplace else.
Yeah.
Okay, how do your guides know the future? How does free will work?
So we talk about like the way the guides and angels kind of understand what's going on. It has a lot to do with life path. So we all come down here with a certain life path. And so free will, that's that component that gets you to shift off of life path a little bit. But if you're on a certain life path, you're going to achieve those things. So the way the guides see future and the angels see future is that they're really looking at your life path. And remember, the other side, time is linear and nonlinear, so they can go forward and backwards. So it really is the alignment with life path that they see that allows them to see or predict the future.
Okay. Last February, during the outbreak of COVID, a lot of personal protective equipment was shipped to China. What? Why were they sent to China and they were so sorely needed by Americans?
This was a negotiation on behalf of the Chinese government to allow more people into the country. So this is at a time that many countries want to get into China to understand the origin of the COVID-19 virus. And so it was a negotiation from China to say, look, you're not coming directly in here. Almost like, what are you going to give us in order for us to allow you into the country?
Okay.
They said, okay, well, we'll give you all the PPE. So, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Why did cabinet members DeVos and Chow resign? They claim it's because they didn't like what Trump did, which is a bunch of hogwash.
No, it's kind of interesting. My guides are showing me a tsunami wave, but they see the tsunami wave coming, which is, everybody jump ship. It's like the Titanic going down, the SS Trump. So they're jumping ship before they have to encounter a lot of public scrutiny. I think in their thinking, they might be right, is that if they resign now, there'll be less of all the things they're going through legally in public. So they have litigation coming, but they want to keep it out of the public. So.
Okay. When did you foresee us using scalar energy, which Tesla studied? When do you foresee us using that type of energy?
That's at least 3 decades out. That's like 30 years out. That's energy that we already know exists. That's energy that moves very easily through a vacuum, like space. Mm-hmm. So that's something aliens already understand how to use, but we will understand more how to use it in 3 decades. Yeah.
Okay. Will the UN hit 45 and his aides with crimes against humanity world order trial? Ooh.
As much as I would like to see that happening, I don't see it happening. But the reason it's not happening is that there's so much going on in the world that people effectively just don't have the bandwidth to address all the things that have to be taken care of in humanity, and also waste time and energy on that. So
right.
And that's kind of what's going on, unfortunately. Yeah.
There are rumors going around about disease X, saying it will trigger another pandemic after COVID-19. Will we really have to suffer through another pandemic immediately after this one?
This is something, Linda, you and I actually touched on a couple of weeks ago, but there is something else coming. And, somebody already brought this up. So, and I think it's made into the world press. That's okay. But there is another pandemic coming. The good news is that all of the scientific development we've done on almost like the RNA platform for this vaccine will be used for the next pandemic. But there will be another.
And also we'll have an administration that deals with it right away.
Yeah, so there is another one coming, and I saw this weeks ago, but I really didn't want to bring it up because I want to create a state of panic. But the good news is the vaccine will be much more effective on this another disease X, it's called right now.
Right. Sterling mentioned last Sunday that loved ones do not attach themselves to cremation ashes. Why do dolls, mirrors, pictures, etc. often have attachments?
So spirits, by and large, don't attach themselves to objects. But here's what's interesting. On the other side, you have what are called prankster spirits. So prankster spirits like to play games, and that's it. They find a lot of fun. So
Right.
prankster spirits, even though they're not connected to dolls and mirrors, things like that, if for some reason they have a reason to like hang out with that doll because it scares you or something, they will do that. So
Oh,
this has to do with prankster spirits, but no spirits are connected to physical objects.
in 1872, the Mary Celeste set sail with 10 people on board, and when the ship was found, all 10 people were missing, but everything was intact on the ship. What happened to these people?
These were pirates. So pirates were the cause of this. So it looked like there was something having to do with the ship and its cargo. So a lot of the people on the ship met a bad end due to pirates, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
what happened.
Okay. The UK is in lockdown and they have the new coronavirus variant. Can you tell us when things get better in the UK?
There's an easing of restrictions in the UK starting almost like the end of April, and that's because there'll be more vaccine available. Also, this gets in alignment with my guides that said before that by August of this year, 4 manufacturers will have 4 very strong vaccines in hundreds of millions of doses apiece. So the UK, they'll start opening up more at the end of April into April, and then it'll be much better in the summer.
Okay. Do animals have a life review after they pass?
They do, but it's a very short life review because they're actually really down here. They're from the angelic realm. They're down here to help us. So it's less in terms of the lessons they're down here, and it's more they're down here in terms of ways of helping us with our lessons. So it's a shorter life review.
What does it mean to have a white pyramid aura?
So this a white pyramid aura represents like the highest order of communication, like with the one force. So if you're somebody that, let's say, can see spiritual auras, if you see somebody with that's a very high communication, a very clean, clear channel to the one force. That's what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I don't know when somebody asked that question, it reminds me of I always think back to Seinfeld episode when Jerry and George went to go see that New Age mystic. I'm not sure if you remember Seinfeld at
I
all,
don't
but
remember that particular episode.
they made George sit there with a pyramid on his head. So, so that question I had that vision for a second. So,
Okay. Are children on the autism spectrum able to communicate with spirit more freely?
They can, because when you have autism, there's a little bit of separation of like the mind function, the brain function. It's
Mhm.
almost like you relax your logical mind. When you relax the logical mind, let's say, for example, during sleep or meditation, it makes it easier to communicate with the other side. So children that have autism have the way to relax that part of the logical mind and communicate. They can.
Oh, awesome. When we move into the next density, do our four-legged ones move with us?
And I'm assuming whoever wrote that question, they're talking about crossing over into heaven or the next dimension kind of a thing.
Ascending,
So,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely, because the four-legged friends are also part of our spiritual family. So any animals that you've had down here during the course of your lifetime or your family members, they're all with us on the other side in the extended spiritual family. They are.
Will Democrat Senator Joe Manchin be a stumbling block to Biden's plans to get USA back on their feet?
He's certainly going to try, but it's actually not going to be in the longer run here. It's not going to be a problem, but because now that Congress is completely Democratic and has a majority, he's going to fall in line. So it won't be a big problem. No.
And the other thing I always saw was look at the one from Alaska. What's her name? Lisa. Is her name Lisa?
Drawing a blank.
She's a Republican on the Senate.
Mikowski?
Mikowski, sorry. Mikowski has said she wants Trump to step down or she'll come out of the party. She didn't say she'll go Democrat. She'll probably go independent. And
Right.
you've got Mitt Romney, you've got Sass, and you've got Susan Collins. And I think, truthfully, that they will start to move over. They're not going to stick to what Mitch McConnell says. They can step over that line and vote on behalf of the Democrats.
And by the way, that speaks to what we were talking about earlier in the show, where I saw like at least half of the GOP coming at everything with more logic, coming more to center and saying, wait a minute, now we've got to just start using better logic here. So,
Right. We just don't not do this because he says so.
Right.
You know, he was just so mean. But I will tell you, the night of the, I don't know if you sat up and watched, it was till 3 o'clock in the morning when Congress came back into session.
Right.
They
On the
said they had
sixth.
a duty
Yeah.
between Pence and McConnell, their speeches. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And McConnell even said, you know, look, you guys, it's not as if Trump lost by a few numbers. He lost by 7 million.
Right. Right.
And, you know, we need to move on. And also he didn't like that violent, that stuff. So that was good. But
He got religion at the last minute. So
do the writers of The Simpsons actually have the ability to predict the future, or is this just pure coincidence?
Not pure coincidence. The creative side, everybody that's creative, and when you use the creative side of your mind, that's linked to the universe.
Yeah.
So they're highly creative people. They actually do bring forth information, almost like the way a psychic and a medium does. Absolutely. So they're tapping in, but they're highly creative, so very connected to that side of the universe. Yeah.
Are our alien comrades involved in politics at all?
I assume that question means like their politics. They're not involved in our politics, but the alien species have leaders and politics of their own. Okay. So they're not involved in our politics, but they have their own.
Oh, here's a good one. Can you have sex in heaven?
Yeah, certainly, absolutely, but there's no pregnancy.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah. Do you see anything coming up next week?
Well, I do. We're going to see an increased effort by government and the military to kind of help prepare for January 20th. You're going to see a lot of that going on because everybody's now getting prepared for, there's going to be violence and a lot of things going on January 20th that to be prepared for. I do see the 25th Amendment moving in a very fast way through the House. So they're going to try to get that voted on and put that up. I do see Pence talking about, you know, he had a reluctance to invoke the 25th Amendment. Now I feel he's going to talk more about, you know, kind of convince me. If you make a good argument, I'll do it kind of a thing. I see that. I see more movement on the vaccines. I have some really good movement on the vaccines on all 4 of them. So we have 2 approved, the third one that's going to get approved, and a 4th one that's going to have a good development. I do see Iran right now. Iran is going to get a little bit more difficult to deal with here the next 2 weeks because it feels like they've got some splinter cells they're going to try to activate worldwide. I don't think it's going to be in the US, but I do feel US interest around the world. But I do feel everything's going to go okay. So here's the bottom line. A lot of activity worldwide, but we're all going to get through this. And January 20th, you know, the confirmation will occur. So we're going to get through this, but everybody's going to kind of buckle their seatbelt. So.
Right. I feel like Pelosi, Biden, all of them are going to get watched like a hawk, like a hawk. They'll be kind of even more stuck wherever they're at. You can't walk down the street and wave at everybody. There are people wanting to get rid of them.
Right.
And when I saw the Biden being, you know, Biden's in that attitude, F you guys, I get to have my inauguration and damn those people. That's what I felt. And I see military. So I think it could be even, I don't know which military. but I see lines of them and I see protesters, but I see them keeping them way far away.
No, we agree on that. I do see the military getting, playing a very active role in this inauguration, but you'll hear more about all the planning this week.
Yes, and
So
there'll also be cells. I've always often said this for years now. There will be like terrorist cells, Trump cells,
there will,
Trump's going down. That's the good news. Do you have any
yeah.
information that your guides want to share? Like, will I
They
meet
do.
Gerard Butler? Am I going to meet Gerard Butler?
You are next week. Next week.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has come up before, but the guides felt the need to kind of reemphasize it, is kind of trust your guides. So work with your guides, trust the information you get, trust the universe, because what happens is when you don't trust, then it's like wasted energy. So not only are you kind of not moving forward in your own truth and helping the world move forward, but you're wasting energy. So trust the universe, trust your guides, trust your angels, communicate, and then you won't waste a lot of energy. So
That's good. That's very good. Well, thank you, my friend.
sure, thank you.
So wait a second. What our next Sunday is right before
The inauguration. Yeah.
We'll still have 3 days. Let's see if we have more to talk about next Sunday.
No, I'm sure we
Edge
will.
of my seat, my friend. Edge of my seat.
I'm sure we will.
Okay. So thank you
Okay.
so much, bye everybody.
All the best.
Look out for, because how we do this is somebody wrote me on Twitter. They didn't mean to be rude, but they said, well, I know you and Sterling get money for people to answer questions. Like somebody pays us to answer certain questions. I was like, what? So I kind of told him off, but he was very apologetic. I guess he got that in his head.
Yeah, we're
By the way, you guys, I wanted to explain this to you. Sterling and I don't pick the questions. When I say it's Sterling on Sunday on my community page of YouTube, it's Sterling Sunday, ask your questions. That's the link that Dan, my assistant, and your lovely wife, Linda, go to, and they just grab them off that.
They do, yeah.
So we have nothing to do with questions.
They do, and I would tell you that it's a very manual process because I'm covered with technology, but it has to be a manual process because every question is a little bit different, and so sometimes people ask the same question a different way. So there's we're not using AI, artificial intelligence algorithm here. They have to kind of figure out, well, that question was actually answered 6 weeks ago. This is like a different way of phrasing it, so they've got to sort through all that. So it takes time.
Okay, yeah, they work very hard at it.
They do.
Thank you, you guys. And I'm not mad at that guy that said that, by the way. I forgave him.
Very good. All righty.
Okay. Thank you. Bye, you guys.